So currently the quickest marathon time any Brit has run this year is a 2:18:33. But in today's video, I'll be attempting to decimate that record to cement myself as the undisputed king of England. Well, unofficially, but we'll get more into that later. So according to the old school Japanese marathon training method, there are 2 key sessions that if completed correctly, you can guarantee that on race day you'll hit your target time. On paper, it really is as simple as that, but getting there is the hard bit. It's the months and months of training before that allow you to nail these 2 sessions, and that's what I've got this week. This is the make or break time. Those months and months slogging it out, pounding the pavements of Tokyo, all come down to these 2 sessions. You know, no pressure, but it's time to deliver the goods. So let's head to Yoyogi Park for the first of these sessions, and you're going to want to stick around till later, because if you think this first session sounds hard, then just wait until you see the second one, because it was about 10 times more brutal. But you know what they say, train harder, not smarter. Huge morning today. I actually feel more nervous than I did last week for the Marugame half. So it's basically the pinnacle of all of the last few months training. If I have a good execution today, then it will definitely give me confidence for Tokyo Marathon. So a staple in any good old school Japanese marathon training block is the 40k time trial. And that is what I'm hitting today. Basically, whatever time you run for this 40k is what you should be able to run the actual marathon in. So for me, I'm aiming to hit 2:12 today, which will be about 95% of the actual marathon pace. And then the idea is with a taper, easing down, fresh legs, you can then go and hit that 100% on race day. And I've actually made a slight alteration to the standard Japanese 40k. So I'm doing it where in the final 10k, is going to be at target marathon pace. The reason I've done this to make it a bit harder, from 30k onwards in my last couple of marathons, I've had a bit of a shocker, just like hit the wall. So I'm trying to make it as difficult as possible, try and pick up the pace today from 30k to then basically condition my body to get used to working when it's tired and pushing on through that barrier, mental training. And I've luckily got a couple guys jumping in and out at different points, so I'm not completely solo. So let's meet one of those guys now, Kowada, who's a former Hakone Ekiden runner and now a popular YouTuber in Japan.
じゃあジェイクさんよろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくお願いします。
今日は 42km。
40、はい。
40。
40キロ。
40キロ。
タイムトライアルみたい。
タイムトライアル。
そう東京マラソンに向けてこの練習一番大事だと思います。ちょっと緊張します。厳しいかな。
厳しい。丸亀の疲れはノットタイヤド？
ちょっと疲れた。
ちょっと。
足ちょっと死んだ。はい、頑張りましょう。
いや、頑張りましょう。お願いします。
And just like that, the boys are rolling. And the best thing about filming with YouTubers is that there's a ton of footage going around. So I didn't have to head cam this one. Actually, Kowada had a cameraman as well running with us. So we had a solid little group here, and the splits were a work of art, if I do say so myself. Yoyogi Park is just the perfect place. It's a 1.9k lap, and it's been measured even with a wheel because the Japanese are so precise. So we're pretty much bang on 320s till the half marathon point, like within a couple seconds every single split. And it is funny like how perfect the pacing is here, but then as soon as it comes to a race, the Japanese guys will go absolutely ham. The pacing goes out the window, and of course it's kamikaze style. So I often get a lot of questions about nutrition and fueling on these kind of runs. So for this, I went for 4 gels during it, 1 before, and you'll actually see, so I'm wearing those tight shorts. Usually I'm a die-hard short shorts man, but I've realized for the marathon, just for carrying gels, you kind of have to go for the tight ones. And luckily my Tokyo Marathon build is being supported by Sky, who I introduced in the last video, absolute legends over there at the Danish running brand. And their kit is quality. Like I was repping the t-shirt and shorts here, and I can easily fit 4 gels in the pockets, absolutely no problem. When it comes to Tokyo Marathon, I might even push that to 5 or 6 just to play it safe. So it's so good to have these actual shorts on. But I've got to say a massive thank you to Sky. You'll actually see me later on in the video for the next session. I'm going to be wearing their race kit, so the vest and shorts, which are just as fresh. But if you guys want to check out their website as well, then you can get 15% off. You can use the code RTJ15 and pick up some gear yourself. But now we're coming up to the halfway point, and there's going to be a little change in the group. But pretty much this was going as smoothly as possible. Like the idea was that hopefully I would feel very, very easy at this pace, and it did feel like I was really cruising, and we just kept on ticking through. So these boys were with me till the half marathon point. Then it was actually perfect. We had another guy jumping in, another YouTuber as well. This was, yeah, a huge collab, the British-Japanese crossover. And we'll have a proper chat with Crazy Karo, as he's known later. But yeah, he jumped in from halfway and cruised with me until about 30K before I picked up. And that's when things got a little bit out of control. So the idea was to go marathon pace for that final 10K, which for a 2:12 marathon would be 3:08 per K. But basically I was just so fresh. I was like, I want to rip it a little bit, just see how quick I can go. And pretty much I just naturally fell into that 3:05s, which would actually be a 2:10 marathon. And I realized coming up to the 40K split, I was doing the maths in my head and I was like, hang on, I could actually break my marathon PB here. And you can see I'm waving to my friends here at like 38K or something, still feeling so fresh. So then I go through 40K, which was obviously the key split. That's where I was going to be stopping. That was the marathon indicator, in a sub 2:10. And that just got me so gassed. So I thought, yeah, let's finish it off. Go for that unofficial Yoyogi Park training marathon PB. And let's see what the final time is here.
やばい。マラソンまで行った？
やばい。2時間16分。
16分？
そう。
42キロ？
そう。
やばい。
やばい。
グッワーク。
いや、ちょっとびっくり。ちょっとびっくりした。
いやいや、余裕そうだったね。
わあ。
グッワーク戦。
本当にありがとうございました。
両面全然つけなかった。早すぎ。早すぎ。やば。
どうでしたか？
早い。強すぎ。今来週100のトレイルランニングです。
マジで？
そう、ニュージーランドで。
すごい。
だからそう、今日はね、
はい
コンディションをねチェックした。
なるほど。
そう。
実はクレイジーカロの YouTube よく見てます。
ありがとうございます。
いい日本語を聞く練習。
Now let's get a bit more of the Japanese practice in while we chat on the warm down.
クレイジーカロさんと一緒に走りました。
ありがとうございます。これは日本語の方がいい？
はい、日本語頑張りましょう。
頑張りましょう。英語じゃなくていい？
英語喋れますか？
喋れない。
全然ない。
My name is Crazy Karo. I'm from Japan.
Perfect. Fluent. ペラペラですよ。
I'm a professional trail runner.
クレイジーな選手。
クレイジーな選手。トレイルランニング。はい。スカイランニング。あとはロードランニング。
いろんなイベントですね。
マラソンは2 50。
はい、
2時間15分。いや、今日同じぐらい。トレーニングでは無理。
僕多分未来ウルトラしたい。
ウルトラ？
そう、多分サラマコ100キロ。
サラマコ？
いや、興味あります。
興味ある。
100キロ。
あと、トレイルは興味ない。
トレイル、子供の時、イギリスで黒缶めっちゃ人気です。黒缶。みんな子供の時黒缶知ってます。めっちゃ楽しかった。ですけど最近ロードだけ知ってます。ニュージーランド100キロ。目標は何ですか？
ニュージーランドの100キロで、セカンドプレイス、2番になると、ウエスタンステイツって、
聞いてます。アメリカで。
ウエスタンに参加できるから、そうウエスタンに出れるようにセカンド。
旅行好きですかね？
旅行大好き。
いつもいろんな場所旅行してます。じゃあ、あと皆さん、クリスカのチャンネル見てお願いします。面白い動画ですね。
So big up all the boys that helped me get around this one today. Now let's hear my post-session thoughts.
Okay, so that didn't quite go to plan. I may have just ended up running a marathon PB, 2:16. In the park, in training, and genuinely feeling quite comfy. I can't quite believe it. I'd split a sub 2:10 at 40K, and the idea was whatever you can run for 40K, that's what you can do for the marathon. So, I don't know, is a sub 2:10 on the cards? I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I don't know if I'm getting too ambitious, too greedy, but that's what the training indicates. The whole Japanese training plan is built around this 40K, and I've split a sub 2:10. Things are going very nicely.
So that's part one complete, and I couldn't believe how well I pulled up after it. This is genuinely probably the best I've recovered after any marathon session of this whole block, and actually ran a marathon. So it's pretty good to know there's a lot more left in the tank, the fact I could bounce straight back. But I had to be a little bit careful. So the marathon Bible that I've been reading, one of the Japanese guys in that says that you don't want to peak too early. So if you ever start feeling too good during the marathon block, you want to absolutely hammer your legs, put some more fatigue in them, and just bring that level down a little bit so you can end up then peaking on race day. So that's pretty much what I did after this marathon training session. I smacked out a decent track session during the week, brought the mileage back up even higher, and then came into the monster on Sunday, the 30k time trial. But instead of slogging it around Yogi Park again, I thought I'd switch things up and actually enter a race, because I just love racing. Like, that's the best bit for me. And I can push myself harder than training anyway, so it's perfect. The only thing with this 30k race is that it was on a brutal course. So the training plan I've been following from the 1970s, this Japanese guy, he did this final 30k time trial on a dead flat loop, basically like Yogi Park. And he pretty much ran his target marathon pace, I think a couple seconds slower maybe. But I had to just make it a little bit harder, you know, put that Ran to Japan spin on it. So I'm lining up here for the Ome 30k, which is a very famous race. Loads of people use it as like the final hard workout before Tokyo Marathon. Now I actually missed the deadline for this race because you got to enter so early in Japan, it's ridiculous. Like, I've had to plan all my races about 6 months in advance just because they're so popular. They always sell out. But I was very lucky thanks to the guys at Puma Japan. I got to give them a huge shout out because they got me in, so they were sponsoring the race and they managed to give me an elite entry, and also very kindly sent me a pair of their super shoes, DV8 Nitro Elite 3. So it's my first time giving them a go, and they were quality, very light and bouncy. It's going to be a very tough call between those ones, the Pro 4 and the Alpha Fly 3 for Tokyo Marathon. I'm still undecided, got to do a bit more testing. But yeah, this race, the Ome 30k, and actually I met up on the start line with one of my mates, the pro runner Atsura, who was a bit of a fan favorite in that Hakone Ekiden video from before. We had a good chat and I did that big marathon session with him, and he's actually got a very similar goal to me at Tokyo, going for that 2:12 mark. So he was treating this, I think, a bit more like a race. He said he tapered a little bit into it and was kind of giving it a proper good go. But yeah, it was cool to run with him again and like catch up. But when we did get moving, in classic Japanese fashion, it went out hard. So we actually went through 3k in 9 minutes flat. So yeah, 3-minute K pace. And it was on a gradual uphill. So if you look at the course here, it's a brutal course. Pretty much there's no flat. You're always either rising or falling. And generally the first half is climbing up and up, and then you come down on the way back, which is actually equally as hard because your legs are already burnt out by that point. And so I was sat back in maybe 20th and trying to hang on to that front pack, but I realized at about 3k, this was just dangerous territory. I was gonna have to drop it back. Actually, my heart rate already was over 180. I've noticed the heat gets me so badly. So anything over about 5 degrees, my heart rate rockets up and I find it so tough. And obviously the bigger you are, then the more the sun and the hills affect you. You're like carrying more weight up. So maybe I don't look big compared to your average person, but versus the Japanese guys I'm running against, I'm basically being handicapped by a 15 kg backpack equivalent when I'm trying to climb up these hills. So it was tough, but I was really pleased I actually managed to hold that sub 3:10 pace for the whole way pretty much. And I had to absolutely kill myself. So I mean, compared to that Yogi Park marathon, the 2:16, this was just completely different. This was like a max out, full out effort on the day. And my legs already felt shot at sort of 10k. So I thought it could be a real struggle getting in. But lately I found even when I'm exhausted, I managed to kind of lock into pace and hold it. Pretty promising. It means that, yeah, the chance of a massive blow up is unlikely now. I think just because I've done so much hard work, so many big sessions and mileage, that it's like I can just lock into that pace and like power through. But I had to dig so deep here. The legs were gone at the end. And I was still pretty cooked after during the warm down.
All right, that was brutal. I'm hoping that Tokyo Marathon feels a lot easier than that. Basically today had all the factors working against me. It's like I'm coming in knackered, 235k week I think, so the legs are heavy already. Then you add in wind, sun, hills, and solo for the second half. You got a pretty brutal combo. The idea then on marathon day, Tokyo, nice and flat, cold, with a group, be absolutely cruising.
Now, it was only a bit later after this race, I was actually looking into the stats, and my gap pace was 3:04 per K. So that's grade adjusted pace. Basically, if this was on a flat course, that's what I could have run. And 3:04 is a 2:09 marathon. So I'd like to think that if I'd done this at Yogi Park on a flat loop, then I could have ran 2:09 marathon pace. So again, another indicator that that sub 2:10 could potentially be on the cards. Obviously, it's so risky, like that would be an outrageous time, but the evidence is mounting, and according to the Japanese plan, that's the time that I should be targeting now.
Yeah, I'll go more into depth in the kind of taper and actual targets for Tokyo in the next video, so definitely keep an eye out for that. So that pre-Tokyo vid will be dropping the day before the race, and we'll have all the juicy info you need in it. But till then, this has been Jake with Ran to Japan. I'll catch you in the next one. Remember, train harder, not smarter.